poppin' YouTube? I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to answer the question that every person asks me. How did you know you were pregnant? When did you find out you were pregnant? Like, how did you know? Alright, so I'm going to put all your questions to rest, and I'm going to tell you the full story of how I found out I got pregnant. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so it was back in November. I was 19. I'm now turning 21 in a week. It's almost 2 years ago now. She's actually going to be a year on the 31st of this month, and I'll be 21 on the 28th. But anyway, so it's back in November, and me and my boyfriend had just moved out together maybe 5 months now. So we were basically living on our own, so kind of doing whatever we want. So basically, I always got my period at the end of the week, and it was always like Friday or Saturday, and I was working doubles Friday and Saturday, so it was always like stressful for me. So I did not get my period on Friday. I was like, okay, well, it's gonna come tomorrow then. Saturday rolls around and nothing. So I was like, okay, so definitely tomorrow then, whatever. So it's a day late. Okay, sure. The next day comes by. It still doesn't come. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, it's not coming. It's late. I don't know what to do. It's never late. Like, I was always a person that was regular all the time. It was coming regularly. So for it to even be like that one day late was weird. That was just not me. So I had 2 friends at the time. Let's call them A and C. So A and C were like, well, do you think you're pregnant? I was like, no, there's no way. I can't be pregnant, blah, blah, blah. It might just be stress. Maybe that's why. And they're like, do you want to take a test? I was like, I do, but I don't. Because I feel like as soon as I buy the test and take it, it's going to be negative, and the next day I'm going to get my period. So they're like, well, maybe you should just get one just in case. I was like, okay. So we went and got tests, and now this is like Monday night. Monday night we went to Walgreens to get a test, and my boyfriend was with me. So all 4 of us were together, and we went to go buy a test. So we went to Walgreens, and before like we even get out of the car, like we pull into the parking spot, and before we even get out of the car, really, really funny, I see my grandparents pull in to the parking lot. And I'm like, oh shit, everybody get down, because I didn't want to tell them like why I was there, like because I didn't want to worry them. Like I really didn't think I was pregnant. I just felt like I was stressing, and I was like, it was all in my head basically. So I was like, everybody get down, and we're all like ducking, and they're like, what? I'm like, it's my grandparents. They must be picking up a prescription or whatever. I don't know, but everybody duck or whatever. So when my grandparents left, I told my boyfriend to go inside and get a test for me. So he went inside and he got one that was a double pack. So there was 2 tests in there. So we got back to my place, and they're kind of just like, we got inside, and we're just kind of sitting around. They kind of just all stared at me like, are you going to take the test? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just waiting for me to have to pee. Like, I was super nervous at this time, because I haven't had any symptoms besides my period being late. So I was just like, it's gotta be stress. Like, I have no symptoms, no nothing. Like, I felt normal. You know, it was just my period was late, and it was a little weird because it's never, never, never late. And then I was like, well, maybe it's not this week it's supposed to come. Maybe I'm like thinking that, and it's not supposed to be till like next week or something. But finally I go and I take this test. So I go in, sit down, go ahead, do the stick thing, pee on the stick, blah, blah, blah. And I put it on the counter, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. Like, I am so scared right now. I'm like looking at my phone, and I'm like, is it time to look at it? Is it time to look at it? And by the time it's time to look at it, I no longer want to look at it. I'm like scared, and I'm like trying to get myself up. I'm like, no, you're good. There's no way. Like, just look at it. You're gonna laugh at yourself because you've been all over the place all day. Like, it's gonna be okay. So I'm like, okay, just look at it. So I get up, I pick the test up, and I look at it, and it's positive. And I'm like stuck there for a minute. And I hear them talking like, are you done? Blah, blah, blah. Because I've been in there for maybe like, I don't know, like 5 to 7 minutes. And they're like, are you done? Like, come on out. Let's see it. We're sure it's negative. You're just messing with us. Blah, blah, blah. So I like take a breath. I walk out. And they're all just looking at me. And I'm like, it's positive. And they just all look at me like, what? No, it's not. My one friend A gets up and she comes over to me and she takes the test, and she's like, she like snatches out my hand. She's like, let me see. Like, you're lying. And then she looks at it. She's like, oh, you're not lying. It's positive. I'm like, yeah. And so I look at my boyfriend. He looked like he was in shock. Like, he was like this. Like, you could see it in his face. Like, he was just done. Like, he was like, he couldn't believe what he just heard. So I'm like, babe, are you okay? And he's like, I think I need to smoke. And he gets up and he walks out. So I'm like freaking out with my friends. I'm like, no, it's got to be wrong. My friend's like, yeah, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. Like, we'll go buy you another test, a different one, because, it's probably just, like a false positive. That happens all the time. So let's go get some, tests or whatever. So A came with me and C stayed with my boyfriend to, like, it was kind of like they were like splitting up to like calm us both down type of thing. So I went with my one friend, my other friend stayed with him, try to calm him down, get his perspective or whatever. So we left, and we're looking for like the tests that say how many weeks you are. We went to like 3 different stores trying to find this test until we found out that they don't make those kind anymore or whatever. Like, none of the places sold them or whatever. So I'm like, oh shit. So we just go ahead and grab some other tests. We're just like, we're grabbing tests, we're throwing them in a bag. I think I probably got like 5 tests after that. So I go home and I like slam test after test after test. All positive. All positive. I'm like, oh my God, why? And I'm like in denial. I'm like, no, they're all wrong. They're all wrong. They've got to be all wrong, right? Like all 6 of them are wrong. Like, come on. 6 or 7 of them, they're wrong. Like, there's something else wrong. So, my friend is like, whatever you decide, I'm with you. Like, if you need something, you need to go somewhere, you need to do whatever you gotta do. I don't know what you want to do. I stand by you. So I'm like sitting there like, I don't know. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm pregnant. How? Why? So they end up going home a little while afterwards, and it's just me and my boyfriend. And it was like, it was kind of weird. I had a lot on my mind. I know he had a lot on his mind. The very next morning, I ended up going to the hospital because I had severe cramping, And I was scared, so I ended up calling my grandparents. Um, and I was talking to my grandma, and I was like, I'm in pain. Like, I don't even want to get up. Like, it's really, really bad. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm like super, like, I was like out of it. Like, I did not feel good all of a sudden. Um, so I told her, and she was like, okay, that's weird. Maybe you have like the flu or something. We'll come get you. We'll take you to the hospital. And I'm like, there's one other thing you need to know. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm pregnant. She said, what? I was like, I think I'm pregnant. I took some tests last night. They all came back positive. I'm pretty sure that I'm pregnant. She's like, Kelsey, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, okay, well, we'll come and get you. Maybe they were false. And she was like, I really hate to say this, but maybe you're having a miscarriage and that's why you're cramping so badly. And then I really started to freak out because I was like, oh God, I might be. Like, I really don't feel well. Like, I feel terrible. There wasn't any blood or anything, but I felt terrible. So they came, they took me to the hospital. So basically, one, I was dehydrated, and that's why like I didn't want to get up. Like, I was like super super hot, and I'm like laying on the floor. And that was one reason. I was like super dehydrated. It was just a bad thing. And I know my boyfriend ended up calling his mom when I was at the hospital because they confirmed that I was pregnant. And I'm like looking at the doctor, and I'm like, I know you do this for a living, but you sure? And they're like, yeah, you're pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, and they tell me that I'm only like 2.5 weeks pregnant. And they're like, how did you even know? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, but I was so early that they didn't even know like how I knew. But my period was a day late, which worried me. Another thing was I think it was 2 days before I took the test, my friend C came over, and her and my boyfriend were drinking. Um, I took one shot, and I was like, no, 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 something's not right. Like, I don't feel good. Like, I'll just babysit y'all. It's not a big deal. So my body already knew to not consume alcohol. I listened to my body, and it told me do not do anymore. And I was like, yeah, no, something doesn't feel right. I'm not gonna do it. I'll just watch y'all, whatever. I don't care, and we'll still have fun. I still had fun that night, but I think that was another little like red flag because that never really happens to me. So it was just kind of weird. But so that was another little red flag. So when girls are like, I didn't even know I was pregnant, and they're like 3-4 months pregnant, I'm like, because I was 2 weeks and I took one shot and it was like, ooh, no. So yeah, I don't really believe y'all, but I guess everybody's different, but kind of sketchy to me. But so yeah, I found out that I was 2.5 weeks pregnant, super early. So I knew super early on. So I didn't really tell too many people until I passed that first trimester. I think a lot of people do that because your first trimester is when you're more likely to have a miscarriage. I was healthy through my entire pregnancy except for the last month. The last month, my blood pressure just skyrocketed. And I felt like shit. I was so irritable and I was so over being pregnant by the last month. And I ended up going to the hospital the day before my birthday. And my blood pressure was 162 over 101. And the doctors ended up keeping me overnight. So I spent my 20th birthday in the hospital. And then I got out when did I get out? So I went the day in. So I went in the 27th, stayed all day on the 28th. That was my birthday. And then I got out the 29th is what happened. But it was like later the 29th. The 30th, I went to work, told them that I think I wanted to start my maternity leave early because of the stress. So I started it early. That night, I started having contractions. So the 31st is when I had her at 2:14 in the afternoon. So it wasn't too bad. I started contracting about 12, and then I had her 2:14 p.m. So I didn't have a very long labor. Not like I know some people for their first ones are in labor for hours and hours and hours. Mine wasn't that bad. And maybe I'll tell you guys about my birthing experience in my next video. Okay, so this concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoy. You guys can comment down below what else you want to see, or you guys can DM me on Instagram. It is curly_K_. So go ahead and follow me on there and DM me whatever else you want to see. Okay, until next time, bye.